HKS is the largest and most famous performance parts maker in Japan. Their main factory is located in Mount Fuji, right in front of Mount Fuji itself, though it is usually hidden by clouds. Their main warehouse is also here, stocking thousands of parts from exhaust systems to electronics. In the next building we saw this new Nissan 350Z being dyno tested. HKS have developed two new exhaust systems for this car. One of them is a semi-race type system, but this one is designed to be fairly quiet. It is made from polished stainless steel, which is thin-walled to provide a substantial weight saving over the standard system. In another dyno cell, an HKS computer was being tuned on this R34 GTR. This car's package is a typical street type upgrade, using only simple bolt-on parts like the racing suction kit air cleaners and entry-level GTSS turbos. These are quite an affordable bolt-on option for any GTR. A new turbo upgrade kit is this GT-RS system for the Impreza WRX. This turbo can support up to 400 horsepower, but will still fit under the standard intercooler system. We wanted to see the HKS S15 drift car, but unfortunately it had been pulled apart for further development. This is one of the leading drift cars in the D1 Drift Competition Series. Next to the R&D department is the exhaust factory, which is one of the biggest in Japan. HKS also make exhaust systems for some smaller aftermarket companies. These are entry-level steel systems, but the most popular new product is a stainless muffler with a titanium tip. HKS also offer mufflers with a carbon fibre barrel. The piping is mostly welded by hand, but to get the faultless welds seen on HKS stainless mufflers, a robotic welder is used. The jigs for all of the different exhaust manifolds and piping are stored in this huge rack, accessed by an automated forklift. Not something you'll see in most exhaust shops. The HKS intercooler series is also very popular in Japan, with systems for most models. But what interests us the most is the HKS turbo range. One of the most popular new products is the 2835 Pro S, using a new style of internal wastegate. It also comes in a larger 3037 version, which we discussed with the R&D manager.
今回これをこういう風にしたのは、そのアクチュエータータイプのターボというのはどうしてもこういう風に開いた時にバイパスのガスがこっちからこう逃げていくんですけど、従来のその TD だとか HPIv6 だとかっていうそのゲストゲート一体式のターボハウジングの場合だと、どうしてもそのバイパスのガスを逃げる通路っていうのが狭くなってきて、結局それがその十分なバイパス量を確保できないということで、こっち側の駅マニ側の圧力が高まって、結果としてそれがエンジンの方のポンプ損失につながってパワーが出ないということがあったもんですから、それをここの容量を確保することで十分なバイパス量をキープしましょうという狙いで、こういう形にしてあります。
僕のタイムは、まず JZ とター RB2 号のために作ったんでしょ。
そうですね、まあ結果として 1J とか RB25 クラスが一番その28のターボを使うには一番いいエンジンでしょうということで、それに合わせて作ってみました。
Another important new model is the GTRS, which supports even more power than the popular GT2540.
2号と GTRS は、一番の違いはコンプレッサーのホイールを、より風量のあるものに交換してありまして、キャパシティをアップさせている感じですね。
コンプレッサー、
そうですね。
タービンは同じ？
タービンは全く同じです。
The GT2540 is rated at 350 horsepower. The GTRS supports 50 horsepower more, but HKS also claim better response.
大きさがここら辺と同じで76ミリだったんですけど、RS は、285と同じで71ミリにちっちゃくしたんですよ。でも羽のデザインとかが違うもんですから、馬力風量的にも、大きくはなってるんですけども、大きさがちっちゃくなってるということでレスポンスも良くなってるっていうことですね。
The biggest HKS turbo is the T51R, which has recently been upgraded to a roller bearing type. This is available in both SPL and KAI versions.
SPL と KAI のバージョンはどう違いますか？
コンプレッサーのホイールの大きさが違いまして、SPL の方は、約100パイ、100ミリのコンプレッサーホイールなんですけども、で、ホースパワー的には、1000馬力対応で、KAIの方は、コンプレッサーのホイールが、94で、馬力的には、850から900馬力ぐらいということで、そこが違いですね。
ブーストはどこからどこまでいいですか？
基本的には、だいたい1キロ前後から、一番効率がいいのは 1.67 なんですけれども、 1.6 とか7ぐらいなんですけど、まあ2キロかけてもそんなに効率が低下しない、ダウンしないっていうような羽を、設定してますので、使用上は2キロでもまあそれ以上でも特には問題はないですね。
HKS have demonstrated the performance of their turbos by building the fastest drag cars in Japan. This 180SX has been around for several years, but it is still within a tenth of a second of the new Supra V8 twin turbo. This car uses a GTR engine producing over 1200 horsepower using twin GT3240 turbos and a specially designed intercooler. Interestingly, it is left-hand drive using an air-shifted transmission. The rear end is completely changed with just a thin Lexan cover over the massive wheel tubs, which are needed to fit these huge Goodyear slicks. The suspension is a typical 4-link drag setup with custom brakes and Mark Williams axles. Though it has already run a 7.1 second pass, HKS is still pushing to get it into the sixes. The quickest GTR in the world is still the HKS R33, holding the record at 7.6 seconds. It uses quite a similar engine setup, but of course this car is four-wheel drive, so it has to use suspension based on the original Skyline setup. Once again, the transmission is air shifted using the HKS Rokusoku gearbox. As we mentioned in HPIv6, however, the most important part of the setup is this Hello Kitty seat pad. HKS racing extends well beyond the drag strip, with entries in the Japanese touring car and open wheeler classes. These are just a few of their retired cars. At one time, HKS even targeted the Formula One scene, producing this 3.5 litre V12 engine called the 300E. This produced in excess of 650 horsepower and could rev to over 13,500 RPM, but sadly it never quite made it onto the track. Other HKS race engines include this BMW 4-cylinder with unusual top feed inlet ports. Another special head was developed for this Mitsubishi engine, which was used in American off-road racing.